Hi everyone and happy Tuesday! The second part of the Johanna Basford planner page from World of Flowers using the Castle Arts soft touch pencils. Now we have got water lilies, leaves and a fish to do. I'm trying to figure out what might be the best order to do everything in. I think I'm going to start with the water lilies. I just hit the tripod, sorry about that. And go from there really. There's a lot of them. So cadmium green pale is where I'm going to start, and I'm just going to colour all of them just nice and gently in this lightish colour to start with, and just work from there. So I'm just trying to get a fairly even colour down on all of the lily pads. It's nothing too difficult, just some quick colouring. I've just been away in between videos ordering my boys some books. I've ordered them the Highway Code and a book of theory test practice questions. It was the same book that I had when I learnt, but a much more revised edition, thankfully, not the actual original whenever it was that I learnt 20 years ago. They did have one that old, but I figured we might want something a little bit more modern, because I hope that the test has changed a little bit since then. But anyway, I ordered those and I accidentally paid for postage on Amazon, so it means they'll come tomorrow, which whoops. I was going to get free postage. It said it would arrive on Saturday, but I forgot to tick the right box, but never mind, it'll come tomorrow. And what they decided sensibly to do was to have a look at it, see how long they thought it might take them to learn it, and then book their test based on that, so they knew they would be able to pass. And I think it's 35 questions, you have to get 30 out of 35. You get your results, used to get your results right away because you're on a computer, and I got 100% because the book gives you every possible question, so I just learned every question and found it very straightforward, and I'm sure they'll do the same thing. Half of it you sort of know anyway, because if you've ridden in the car, we sort of talk about driving a little bit, road signs, traffic rules, that sort of thing. It's useful for children to know these things a little bit anyway for when they're pedestrians. I found that driving, even though I dislike driving and I don't drive anymore, it really improved my pedestrian skills, because I knew what sorts of things cars will be looking for, how they behave, that sort of thing. It really helped me. So anyway, but yeah, so we'll get that. So it's quite exciting and scary, as I was saying yesterday. My boys, they're going to be old enough to vote. They're already old enough to drive. You can drive at 17 in the UK. But we didn't do anything about driving because they were revising for their A-levels. It just wasn't, they didn't have the bandwidth to revise for a theory test and have driving lessons at the same time. It just needed their downtime to be proper relaxed time. So wow, got those done quite quickly. Now what I have to think about with my lily pad is I'd like to add a little more colour to them. What I'm going to do, I know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to check out the colour list a minute. It's a good noise, wasn't it? Shall I do it again? I'm going to grab the Purple Deep. Now, I want this to be a gentle, relaxing, subtle page. This is a dark colour. What I'm going to do is apply a little bit of it gently to the edge of each of our lily pads. I'm not going to press very hard. I just quite like the idea of framing them in a little bit. You don't have to do this if you don't like it or you don't want the extra colour or faff. Just don't. But I'm just going to go around the edge of each one in a little bit of pink, and I think it will tie it into the plant and just give it a bit more, make it a bit more interesting. And we're going to put just going around the edge. I don't want to do it in that bit. and we'll put a bit more green on top to sort of tone it down, even though I'm trying to be really gentle so that it's not too bright. The idea isn't that it's really bright, just that it's a bit different. Yeah, so we found out where the theory test centre is, so that's all that, so that's nice and easy. It's actually about 10 minutes walk from my mum's house. We don't have one in our town, but there's one in a slightly nearer town, but it's much better to do it there. And then it's moved since I did mine, but that's okay. It's actually even closer, so that's good. Now I'm going to go back to my cadmium green pail. Oh, you can't see it, there we go. And go over the top of this. Just make these end leaves a little bit darker. I still want it lighter towards the middle. So hopefully you can see what I'm doing, just going over the top of those edges. Just bring it in a little bit. It's just a tiny detail really. As I say, you don't have to if you don't want to. If you're still catching up on colouring the leaves and you feel they look fine without this, then that's fine. It's your picture, your decision. I always like it when I see people's that have coloured along with me. That's really lovely. But some people change up the colours a little bit. Perhaps they don't like what I've done, their favourite colour, or they've always had an idea of what colour they want to do certain bits, and I like that too. No, and even if you're just using it as a bit of inspirational relaxation, that's great. It's doesn't matter. It's just nice to know that people are sort of watching the videos and getting some benefit, whatever it might be. Oh, it's a good opportunity to say subscribe, please. If you're enjoying the video, please subscribe. It's a little thank you to me. It makes a difference. Right, I'm going to leave them there. Really straightforward. But we have the water. I'm actually going to do the water next before I do these outside leaves. I quite like the idea of doing them a slightly turquoisey colour, but quite pale. I think the cobalt turquoise green is going to be the colour. It's actually quite blue, but I think it'll work quite nicely. As I say, I want it quite pale, so I'm going to try not to press very hard. Just keep it light, like that. Now I'm going to try and sort of, I don't necessarily want to show a direction in my colouring for the water, but if it was to be in a direction, I think it would be sort of round and round, so I guess like a whirlpool. So I'm going to try and colour it that way, so that if the lines do show, which they actually are, then it looks how I would imagine. Although that bit's going to be awkward, just got to block that in. So the reason I'm doing this next and not those other leaves is because I can't decide what colour to do them. So I'm procrastinating by colouring a different bit. I do this a lot if I can't decide, but also it can help you to decide once you see the colour down. Because I can't visualise, I can't imagine what it's going to look like once this is down, so I have to actually do it so I can see it. So that helps me. For you, you might be able to imagine it. Although I think sometimes imagining it is worse, because I've heard people say it didn't come out how I imagined, and that must be quite difficult. I don't have any imaginings, so I don't know. I mean, I can imagine that, you know, I might want it light or dark, or a sort of feeling about the picture. I might want it calm or stormy, or, you know, maybe whatever, you know what I'm trying to say. But I can't actually have a look in my head and say, well, if that was yellow, what would it look like? No idea. Oh, there's Mr. Fish. I've got an idea for Mr. Fish, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I've just coloured his fin in blue. I didn't want that. Because should I do him blue? I've been thinking about doing him in purple, but then he'll be a different colour. We'll be introducing a new colour. I'm not sure if I want to do that, but if I do him in blue, he might not stand out too much unless I do a really dark blue. We want to keep it all calm. Now, I usually, or very often, do fish orange, but I don't want to do that because it's far too bright for this calming palette. Mr. Fish, what are you gonna be? Yes, I'm talking to him. He's not answering. I think that's very rude. Oh dear. Sorry, madness prevails. It's it's trying to sort out bank accounts, driving licenses with children who keep putting headphones back on and not listening, and you speak to them and then they go, "What? I wasn't listening. Oh mum, just look at this, it's funny." I'm like, yeah. Driving me slightly bananas. But anyway, I'm achieving a lot, which is good, but it's nice to sit here and do some calm colouring. It's not getting it out of my head though, is it? Because I'm talking about it, but it is slowing down a little bit. Believe it or not, this is slow. I seem to be going quite fast. I think my adrenaline's still quite high, but yeah, it's. I think we've probably done enough fiddling around for today. I'm trying to get my one son to do some work on something, but he's disappeared to his bedroom, I think, for some peace and quiet and no nagging. Don't blame him, to be honest. But anyway. But I was considering buying the books that I've just bought, excuse me, as e-books, but it seems really hard these days to. Used to be able to buy them through the Amazon app, Kindle app, and you could buy books and they were there, but I couldn't do that the other day, and husband says they've changed it, so you have to buy the book on the Amazon website and then somehow make sure it gets attached to your Kindle app, which sounds very complicated, especially as my Kindle app is linked to my husband's Amazon account, because the first time I downloaded it, he'd bought me a book and he'd bought it on his account. And so if I buy a book, I can't read it on there because it's logged in as the wrong person. So it's it's a bit messy. So I just decided it was easier to just buy them a paper copy of the book. What I did with my paper copy was actually marked the ones that I knew. So I did, because it had every single question in it that you could possibly ask, I did them all on a piece of paper, not in the book, and then marked them. And the ones that I got right first time, that I knew that I would get right every time because they were so easy, I just crossed through. And then I knew I wouldn't have to do them again, because my boys are sharing a book, they might struggle with that, but they might be able to put their initial by it or something and do it that way. But if they struggle with sharing, I'll get them one each, but I'm hoping they'll be able to share. I don't know if that's a bit pale. The top bit's darker than the bottom bit. I think it might be might naturally be the other way round. Just a bit there. But I think I might make that do for now. Once I've gone back round and covered over the bits that I've missed, I guess. Seems to be quite a lot. There's a dog barking. Get a lot of animal noises. Well, dogs, there's a vet's really near us, so at lunchtime they take the dogs out for a walk that are fit enough to have a walk, and it gets a bit noisy, but of course there's always dogs going in and out for various treatments, but also a lot of people walk their dogs along the canal path, so hear them as well. So it gets, get quite a lot of barking. There we go, that's a bit neater. Okay, now these leaves around the edge, I've been procrastinating, haven't really been thinking about it. Now we could use the green gold and do them really differently, but I quite like the calm greens, so I need to just choose one we haven't used yet. The leaf green light is very pale, we've used that already though. Castle green light, maybe we'll try that. What's that? Is that down here? Oh, that's Castle Green Blue. Oh, there it is. It's hiding. I'm going to try this one, the Castle Green Light. We'll see how we get on. As you can see, it's still quite pale. I'm going to just fade it towards the tip of the leaf. As you can see, I'm completely ignoring all this patterning on the leaves. It's very pretty, but it's not something I'm going to worry about. Let's keep it calm and pretty without worrying about that. I don't think I've seen many versions of this page with the leaves coloured very ornately. I think it's because on this calm pool you would expect the leaves to be quite plain. I think the patterns are enough without having to sort of colour them, if that makes sense. I've been looking at oh dear, the flip through of I could do an outtakes video with all these mistakes. The flip through of Johanna's new book, and excuse me, I'm getting quite excited about it. There's a duck which I like the look of in there, and someone said there's a Christmas wreath, and I hadn't noticed it, but there is a wreath with holly on it, which is very exciting. There's a page with boats, which I like the look of as well, and there's lots of potential for videos. I think probably because it's such a small book, nearly every page could be done as a video, which is going to make it quite difficult for me to choose which to do, but we'll see when it comes. I've already pre-ordered it, but it's obviously quite a long way away yet. I can't remember if it's November or October now. I think it's November, I think. Seems a long way away. Yeah, it's November, but I'm sure it'll soon come along. But I've got plenty to do in the meantime that I've been promising you or myself that I'm going to make videos from. Now, I'm going to do a few little touches with these leaves, and then I've got to make a decision about Mr. Fish. So where the leaves are overlapping each other, I want to put a little bit of shadow in, and I think I used the Davy's grey like we used for the petals. So just like here, just put a little bit in. Sorry, I'm shading it. It's a lot of shadow. And here, look, just to yeah, just to give the impression of shadow. I'm going to do it everywhere. Like that. It might not show up massively. I think it shows up enough to make it worth the effort. It doesn't really take long. I'm trying to move methodically through so that I do each bit around the outside first, and then we'll have a little bit to do on the inside as well. actually on that one. I'm not going to do the grasses. My stomach's grumbling. Shouldn't be. I've had some lunch. It's all the excitement of driving lesson. My one son is quite excited about it. The other one doesn't really care. He just knows he needs to do it and it'll be useful. And I hope he's okay with it, because I didn't really want to learn and I didn't really enjoy it. But I hope he will be okay. He knows it will improve his job prospects, which is obviously important. Be nice having some more drivers in the family. Means if husband's ill, can still go places. It'd be very useful. We had to miss something the other day because he'd hurt his foot and couldn't drive. Also got to make the decision as to whether to insure them on our car. I think we're going to have to. It's going to cost us a lot of extra money. Now, Mr. Fish. Now, do I do him the colour that I did around the edge of the lily pads? Do I do him pink, yellow, green, or a darker blue? Or do I do him a completely different colour so he stands out? I am going to do him in the opera rose on his body. So around the edge, a bit less in the middle. And then I'm going to use the purple deep for his tail and fins. But I'm not going to do this one quite as hard. There he is. So what we've got left now is our outside. I'm going to do it in a metallic shiny silver. This pen's nearly run out. Look at that. I think there's enough. Give it a go. I think I'll do the top first actually, or else I'm going to smudge. Nothing fancy here. If you haven't got a metallic pen, use a metallic pencil or just use a grey. I think it just keeps that calm feeling but adds just a little bit of something. Now, another thing I do see people doing is adding white, you know, around the water to look like ripples and things like that. And that would work really well if we had done the blue quite thickly. But because the blue is very thin, it's not going to work. It's not going to show up. So I'm not going to do it. Could do some yellow dots around the middle of the plants as well. That would look pretty. If you've got a yellow Posca or even a yellow felt tip pen. I haven't got either in here, so I can't do that. That would also look quite pretty. Nearly done. There we go. I don't know if you can see the shine. Let me just tip it to the right so you can see how it shines. So there it is, all finished. So I hope that was okay. I enjoyed doing a tranquil lily pond for you. So yes, hope you have a really super day. yeah, and please subscribe, like and follow, and happy colouring.